So as we head into the new year, there are a lot of things that are happening that are impacting us here in the United States and abroad. But what actually just came out yesterday is signaling a massive shift, and this could be a huge win for the American people. Now I'm going to address what is going on, how this is going to impact you, and the good news that we are finally hearing. So make sure you stick around for this entire video and I'll explain the whole thing. All I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoyed these daily updates. And now, let's begin. So in these rather difficult times, what could be considered good news? Well, we could see something regarding the southern border. We could see something regarding the fight between Israel and Hamas. We could see the end of attacks on ships in the Red Sea, or, and this is a big one, it could have something to do with ending this war between Russia and Ukraine. That's what we're going to discuss today, because that right there is potentially one of the biggest things that could happen leading into 2024 that would be good news for the American people. Now, look at this. It says, Putin sends signals of willingness to freeze war. This is according to the New York Times just yesterday. Now we're going to get into this article. We're going to read a little bit of it, but I want to explain why this is such a big deal. When Putin is saying he wants to freeze the war, what he is essentially saying is he's not going to take a step back. He's not pulling troops out of what they have already conquered or what they've already won. He's not going to do that. But at the same time, he's not going to move forward and attack any new cities. They're going to stay exactly where they are and nothing's going to change. This could mean that Russian President Vladimir Putin is accepting of the fact that, okay, Russia might not be able to win any more territory. They might be maxed out at this time. And so he wants to just agree to freeze the war. That could be big. Let's go ahead and read the article really quick. It says Russian President Vladimir Putin has been sending signals through intermediaries since at least September that he is ready to agree to a ceasefire in the war of aggression against Ukraine, which would include freezing hostilities on the current contact line. Now, if you've been watching any of my videos over the past few months, you know that there is something that our current U.S. Congress is fighting over. That's funding for Ukraine. At this time, we are hearing more and more reports that Congress is going to pass an additional $60 billion to Ukraine. Well, according to these reports, that $60 billion could be enough to send Russia packing. So at this time, what we're hearing is that Russia wants to freeze the war and wants Ukraine to pretty much do the same thing. Agree that, okay, Russia has taken over this territory of Ukraine, which is about 20%, and they accept that they lost that forever. But I don't know if Ukraine does that, because right now it can go one of two ways. If the United States is able to send an additional $60 billion to Ukraine, then Ukraine is likely going to say no to freezing this war with Russia. But if the United States cannot send an additional $60 billion, there's a higher likelihood that Ukraine says, you know what, we've lost enough. There's been enough loss of life that yes, we agree to freeze the war. You take that 20% that you've already taken and we'll call it good. I just don't know if that's enough or they're willing to do that. But let's keep reading this article because, again, there's a lot of stuff in here. It goes on to say, this is from one senior international official who met with the Russian officials this autumn, says the Russians say, we are ready to have negotiations on a ceasefire. They want to stay where they are on the battlefield. However, some U.S. officials suggest that this may be a typical misleading attempt by the Kremlin and that it does not reflect Putin's genuine willingness to compromise. It goes on to say, he really is willing to stop at the current positions. He's not willing to retreat 1 meter. Like I said, he is going to stop exactly where he is. When I say he, I'm talking about Russian President Vladimir Putin. He wants to stay exactly where he is. Whatever Russia has taken, that is what they're going to stick with, and they will move forward. That's that. Now, look at this. It says current and former officials say Putin is considering a confluence of factors to create a favorable moment for a deal. There's the stalemated battlefield, which pretty much they're stuck. They can't go either direction. Both parties, both Ukraine and Russia. It says the aftermath of Ukraine's failed offensive, which as of right now, some say that they're not really concerned with Russia because of that failed attempt to take over Ukraine. Ukraine isn't a huge country anyway, and Russia couldn't overtake them. How is Russia going to do it with any other country, especially a bigger one, more powerful one? Probably not going to happen. This could be why he's considering this ceasefire. And then weak support for Kyiv in the West. This is another one. Right now, we are not seeing a lot of support going to Ukraine from the United States. Because of that, it could go either way. So both parties, both Ukraine and Russia, could be considering this idea of a compromise because they want to ensure that this war is over with. The only issue is that Russia could come back and attack again later on when they are a little bit stronger. They may have miscalculated how strong they were and how strong Ukraine was and the support behind them. So we could see this happen. And the last one, they say, and the distraction from the Russo-Ukrainian war due to the situation in the Gaza Strip. The war that's happening between Israel and Hamas in Gaza, that's distracting every single country, everybody in the world. We are seeing this stuff on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook. We're seeing all these people losing their lives, faces just hammered, and just destruction everywhere. What we are hearing is that because of all the distractions that are going on just in Russia or in Israel and Gaza, there's a lot of people that are waiting. Russia is now signaling that they potentially want to wait. They don't want to take more of Ukraine. They want to wait, be patient, because the support from the world behind Israel and Gaza. And the same things going on with China. China wants to be patient, wants to wait, because right now what is happening between Israel and Gaza, it is troubling. And this is putting a lot of bad pressure on the countries that are kind of in the middle of this. The United States, for a while, President Biden was one of those people that was being looked at as, you're supporting the wrong group. Now, well, things are a little bit different. Now, I just want to read you this one last thing really quick. It says, however, U.S. officials see a shift in Putin's stance, noting that he is no longer demanding the resignation of the Zelensky government. They claim that a ceasefire Putin is proposing would preserve a sovereign Ukraine with Kyiv also as its capital, but leave Russia in control of nearly 20% of the Ukrainian territory it has managed to occupy. And also, you need to keep in mind that Russia is not just going to leave and give Ukraine back the 20%. They're not going to do that. But what we are hearing is that this could be a massive win. If Russia decides to, and Ukraine decide to agree on this, and Russia doesn't pull out, but they just stay where they're at, they're going to back military equipment, troops out of the area that they do not occupy, and things will just go back to normal. If this happens, this is a huge win for the American people. Number one, a huge win for Biden. Number one, because both Democrats and Republicans have stated that they want to get this war over with. If the United States doesn't have to send an additional $60 billion to Ukraine, that's a huge win for the American people, because now Democrats can use that leverage that we do not need $60 billion. Now they can use that for a different priority, whatever it may be. And again, we don't know, but they could use that for something else. Something else you need to keep in mind is that Democrats have said that they will get Russia out of Ukraine. They will not stop until Russia is out of Ukraine. According to reports, if Democrats can successfully get Russia out of Ukraine, or this war ends, That would be a huge win for Democrats, especially in this upcoming presidential election. But what about Republicans? Are they going to win if Russia decides to pull out? The answer is yes. According to these reports, Russia would have never attempted this move to try and take over Ukraine if former President Donald Trump was in office. That's according to multiple reports. Now, it is believed that Russian President Vladimir Putin wants to end this war now, start this negotiation now, because Russia is afraid if former President Donald Trump were to take office, then Russia could be on the other end of this offensive. The United States would step it up, would end this war, because if you remember, former President Donald Trump said this war between Russia and Ukraine would end the same day he took office. He would end that war immediately. Now, whether or not this happens or not, we don't know, but what we do know is that Russia is serious. They are contemplating ending this war and pretty much freezing it so that nobody moves forward, but nobody moves backwards. This right here could be a huge win for the American people. So, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Do you think this is something that Ukraine is even going to consider? And what do you think? Do you think this is going to be a huge win for the American people? Or do you think nothing really changes? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. But again, thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys on the next one.